Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really excited to really share this amazing episode of the modern epidemics from dopamine to civilization. Today, I will talk about an emotional eating addiction and the harms of obesity. I am Dr. Yavuz Selim Sılay, and today I want to speak about one of the most misunderstood causes of obesity. Not hunger, but emotion. As a family physician, I frequently hear this sentence: I eat when I feel sad, right? I eat when I feel stressed. I eat when I feel empty. This is not physical hunger. This is emotional hunger. Emotional eating is not about food. It is about the pain you're suffering. When the brain experiences emotional distress, it seeks relief. Food provides temporary comfort, especially sugar. You got it right. Because sugar stimulates dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, and this creates relief, but only temporarily. Soon after, guilt appears, regret appears, and the cycle repeats itself again and again. This becomes addiction, and addiction leads to obesity. Obesity is not cosmetic. It is medical. I'm telling you this as a medical doctor. It affects the heart, the brain, the liver, the joints, the hormones, and the mind. Obesity increases the risk of more than 200 diseases, ladies and gentlemen, including diabetes, heart disease, stroke, cancer. But emotional eating can be reversed. This is an amazing news. The first step is awareness. Ask yourself, am I really hungry or am I hurting? The second step is replacement. Replace eating with living. Walk, pray, breathe, connect. The third step is structure. Eat intentionally, not emotionally. Sleep well between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Exercise regularly. Seek support, because obesity is not a personal failure. It's a biological and emotional condition, and recovery is very possible. True healing begins when you stop punishing your body and start understanding it, because food cannot heal emotional wounds, but awareness can. Compassion can. Change can. This is Dr. Yavuz Selim Sılay from the Modern Epidemics, from Dopamine to Civilization on AFROTURK TV. And I will be talking about the perspective of a family physician, emotional eating addiction, and the harms of obesity, not to satisfy hunger, but to silence emotions. Again, one of the sentences I hear very often as a family physician is this: when I feel bored, doc, I eat. When I feel upset, I look for sweets. These words are not an expression of physical hunger, but emotional hunger. In other words, the person is trying to feed their heart, not their stomach. This condition is called emotional eating addiction, and over time, it can lead to obesity, metabolic diseases, and emotional burnout. What is emotional eating addiction? Emotional eating is the uncontrolled act of eating in response to emotional states such as stress, loneliness, anger, failure, sadness, or boredom. Eating becomes a coping mechanism. The person eats not because they are hungry, but because they seek relief. However, the relief is unfortunately temporary. Afterward, a bigger feeling of guilt, regret, and renewed eating begins. So it becomes a vicious cycle, a cycle of addiction. That's why emotional eating versus biological hunger, they are very different. So the physical hunger and emotional hunger have their onset is, one of them develops slowly, sudden, and intense. So when you look at the food preference, any food satisfies, especially sweets, carbohydrates, fats, and food. When you look at the satiety, satisfaction after eating, and dissatisfaction even after eating shows an emotional state. And remember, there is guilt, shame, and regret after this. So let's talk about obesity. Obesity is a chronic disease characterized by excessive fat accumulation that impairs health. Individuals with a body mass index, BMI, above 30 are generally considered overweight and obese. However, obesity is not just a number. It is a dangerous disease affecting all organ systems and triggering more than 200 diseases. There are so many harms of obesity, ladies and gentlemen. Cardiovascular diseases, high blood pressure, atherosclerosis, and heart attack seriously increase. Cholesterol and triglyceride levels rise up. Metabolic effects are like type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, and fatty liver disease are very common. Hormonal imbalance may cause menstrual irregularities and infertility. When you look at your musculoskeletal system, excessive load occurs on your knee, on your hip, and your spine joints. Risk of arthritis and disc herniation increases rapidly. Psychological effects, low self-esteem, and social withdrawal or depression are all very common symptoms. Guilt and shame reinforce emotional eating. Sleep and respiratory system, when you look at them, I see in my patients lots of sleep apnea, snoring, and daytime fatigue develops. They fell asleep during day suddenly. So what should be done to overcome emotional eating and obesity? Please distinguish physical hunger from emotional hunger. When you want to eat, stop and ask yourself, am I truly hungry or emotionally uncomfortable? Awareness is the first step. You are your best doctor yourself. So monitor your weight daily. This is very important. Monitoring your daily weight is extremely critical. And keep a food journal. Record what you eat and how you feel. Track your weight daily. This helps identify your emotional triggers. Develop alternative coping mechanisms. Instead of eating, walk for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Practice deep breathing. Pray. Prayer is very helpful. Meditation. Call a friend. Drink water. Read a book. Calm your emotions with life, not food. So plan your nutrition, follow on a protein-based diet. Avoid sugar at all costs. Processed food at all costs. Refined carbohydrates are your enemies. Plan 1 or maximum 2 meals per day. Avoid eating after 7 p.m. Practice intermittent fasting. Increase water intake to at least 2.5 to 3 liters per day. Consume low glycemic index foods rich in protein and fiber. Especially sleep and exercise are critical. Sleep deprivation increases hunger hormone ghrelin and decreases satiety hormone leptin. Sleep at least 7 to 8 hours, and especially 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is very important. And exercise 3 times weekly. Definitely seek professional support. Family physicians, dietitians, psychologists, these 3 are the pillars of recovery. Please be patient and realistic. The goal is not rapid weight loss. The goal is not magic, but a lifestyle change. Slow change creates permanent change and success, sustainable success. My final words as your family physician: food may be a pleasure of life, but it is not medicine for emotions. Fighting obesity is not only losing weight, but learning to love yourself again. Every small daily change creates major long-term healing. Treat yourself with compassion and love, because healing begins not only with willpower, but with compassionate understanding. This is your host, Dr. Yavuz Selim Sılay. I'm so honored to host you at the Modern Epidemics from Dopamine to Civilization at AFROTURK TV. Take care and all the best. Bye.